evening and welcome to the Poliscope, where power meets the people and politics is peeled beyond the surface. I am Samson Balogun and you are watching Dominion Television, Ibadan. Tonight, we dissect the shifting landscape of Nigeria's democracy in our special focus, One Country, Two Giants, the future of political pluralism in Nigeria. From the rumbling cracks in the APC and the PDP, to Ganduje's resignation, emerging coalitions, and the undercurrent strengthening the two-party stronghold. From the strides and stumbles of the Seyi Makinde administration in Oyo State, to the resilience or struggle of smaller political parties navigating Nigeria's stormy political waters. Is the stage finally set for genuine multi-party democracy? Or are we still trapped in the echo chamber of usual suspects? Our guest tonight knows the terrain. He is Dr. Hakeem Adebola Yusuf, DSC, FCIB, MNI, governorship candidate of the Action Democratic Party in the 2023 Oyo elections. A top 5 finisher among 16 contenders, former special advisor on due process and budget implementation to Senator Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, an ex-special advisor on digital transformation to Honorable Minister of Communication, an astute technocrat from Oluyole local government. He brings both insider knowledge and outsider perspective, a rare voice in a conversation where nuance is fast becoming extinct. Welcome once again to the Poliscope, right here on Dominion Television. Now, there's a lot to talk about this evening. And of course, my guest is here, Honorable Hakeem. I call him Dr. Hakeem Adebola. He knows a lot about the Oyo State politics and, of course, Nigeria at large. Good to have you in the studio this evening.
Thank you very much, Samson, for having me in your studio.
There is a lot to talk about.
There is a lot.
The ever-shifting political landscape in Nigeria, Oyo State. The sands are shifting, and of course, Nigerians are waiting. The time to make decisions is around the corner, and of course, they are waiting to ask more questions. There are so many people who are too afraid to answer. Now, let me ask you this question in a context. I'll start with, how would you describe Nigeria's political pluralism today? Are we truly a multi-party democracy or a two-party system in disguise?
Well, essentially, every multi-party system usually dovetails into a two-party system. When you look at the more mature democracies in the world, the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, UK, you see that in many of these countries, you usually have two very dominant political parties. So there'll be pluralism, there'll be tens and tens of political parties. In the UK, you have parties that are almost or over 100 years old and have never tasted power. So, but because of the level of organization you need to have a formidable political party, it's usually difficult in very many countries to have more than two very strong political parties because it's all a race for power. And everybody wants to go to where his or her ambitions can be met. So eventually people want it to be a short decision field between A or B. So we will remain a multi-party, but there will always be the giants and the minnows.
With your experience and in your view, right now, since 1999 return of democracy in Nigeria, PDP ruled, APC is ruling. Now, if you are to put it side by side, PDP ruled for 16 years, and they still get accused for the misappropriation of funds and the likes from the APC. Now, APC has ruled for 10 years. And with the projection, as it is, President Muhammadu Buhari ruled for 8 years. President Tinubu has ruled for 2 years. That makes it 10 years. Now, over time, what contrasting difference have you seen in these two political parties? And they have been the two political parties that have been at the forefront.
I will essentially say that there has been no difference between 6 and half a dozen. The politics we play in Nigeria is not a politics of ideology. It is the politics of interest. So you essentially don't have any significant difference between APC or PDP. You only have differences between the major players, or between the capo di tutti capi, between the president, the APC president. Even you'll see a clear distinction between how General Buhari ran Nigeria and how President Tinubu is running Nigeria. So it is not about whether it's APC or PDP, because when you look at the two parties today, maybe 50 or 60% of APC were from PDP. If you look at our Oyo State, for instance, the three leading political giants in APC, there are three senators, are all PDP alumni. So it's not really like...
Senator Sharafadi Abiodun Ali was a former PDP.
Was
PDP. Secretary to the state government.
Yes,
Senator Rashidi Adeolu Ladoja.
Dr. Yunus Akintunde
was
one of us.
PDP.
Senator Fatai Buhari was one of us. So it's, everybody is just going to where they think it is a better playing field for them.
Now, talking about a better playing field, there's a footage that I would want us to see now. Today, a lot happened in the political arena in Nigeria. So many important personalities that left the PDP, some that left the APC, they converged under one banner. That's the ADC. And of course, they think their hopes and of course their dreams align together under that political party. Do you see them actually achieving something really important, especially with people like Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi? These are people with ambitions. Are some of them going to concede their ambition just to massage the ego of other people, or there are still going to be crisis within that political? Let's see that footage. What happened today in Abuja? The initial venue, last minute, it was cancelled. They could not use that place. They had to go to Yaradua Center to eventually have the conference. Please, we'll take that footage now. And of course, when we return, we'll talk extensively about what is going on in the polity in Nigeria, ADC, APC, PDP. Is there any difference in these two political, 3, 4, 5, 6 political parties we have in Nigeria? We'll be back after this time out. Welcome back. That was the coalition in Abuja today. Did you see any coalition there?
Well, you see, there is an attempt at a coalition. A coalition is not an event. A coalition is a process. Of course, what we're doing, what we have seen between yesterday and today in particular, is the outcome of definite layers and layers of undercurrents, meetings, behind the scenes that had actually gone on. But the announcement, yeah, it's good for the political system, but we are going to wait to see what happens over the next months, weeks and months. What is the sincerity of purpose of the people who are in that coalition? Like you have said, who will be willing to step down their ambitions in the greater interest of the coalition? Because people are going to come up like 4 or 5 competing interests, and you have to put the best pace forward. So if people don't step down their ambitions, their interests, then the coalition may not work. We may just see an attempt at a coalition that may disintegrate. What helped the APC was like people like now President Bola Tinubu, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, like he was then, probably stepped down his own intentions. And that was why I came up with Emilokon. So you know that the things that will have been an undercurrent in that Emilokon statement, which sort of, in quote, will have said that was a gentleman's agreement. I will wait for you to do your own, then
and I will come after.
And then you come after. So that was why he insisted, Emi Loko. So if people are not ready to do log rolling, to push cards to each other in their general interest, then we may just be seeing a jamboree and not really a coalition.
Now, sitting governors are moving to the APC. There's another coalition there. Is it safe to call those who have moved to the ADC now the aggrieved party? Because when you look at Maulana Nasir El-Rufai, he was meant to get an appointment under this administration. But one way or the other, they did not pass him on the floor of the House at the Senate. And of course, Rotimi Amechi was also in the running to become president at the primaries. Eventually, he lost the ticket to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is now the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are people who had a lot at stake, but eventually they lost. Now they are coming together under one banner. They want to dislodge the president. Is it safe to call them the aggrieved party?
Well, it is if you just want to be malicious that you call them aggrieved parties. When APC 2 came up, APC was a... If I remembered, Dr. Jerry Garner called APC the Angry People's Congress at that time. But they eventually won. They're ruling the country. Like I said, politics is about power. How do you get power? The friend of your enemy is your enemy. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. So if we say they are aggrieved, maybe, but what they are doing is let us look for people who have a grudge and let us all come together and let us all unleash our joint forces on the ruling party and see if we can dislodge them from power. So they are not doing anything wrong. They are just playing politics. They are just doing what the Constitution permits them to do.
Now, is the electoral structure in Nigeria rigged only to favor the big parties? I want to ask you the fate of smaller political parties in Nigeria right now.
I would say not only in Nigeria, everywhere in the world. It is the big parties that will always dominate. Thank God I contested. I was a member. I've been a member
of the ADP. What was your experience?
Which is a small party. Yes, you see, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of manpower, a lot of financial power to be able to build a truly national party, to be able to build a truly cosmopolitan Republican party.
Is it expensive?
Very expensive. For instance, you cannot claim to be a strong political party if you do not have like 100 or 200 members in every ward. In a state like Oyo State, where we have about 3,500, 350 wards, you are saying that you need to have like 70,000 members. It is a lot of work to get that size of membership in a small political party. So everybody drifts to the big political parties because politics, like, is also about largesse. Politics is also about rewards, because you are not just playing. Many people don't play politics for the ideology. Many people don't play politics for regime change or societal change. People who are playing politics are also looking at what is in it down the line for me. So they gravitate towards the parties that have power. The parties that don't have power, except you have a very, very massive and deep pocket to sustain the interest and the attention of your members, it's going to be difficult. If you look at the last national elections, even look at a party like APGA. APGA is supposed to be a pan-Southeast party.
Political party.
But since the inception, they've only been able to hang on to one state.
Anambra State.
Anambra State. They can't go beyond that. They cannot even win the entire Southeast. It shows that they are just a local party. The same thing, NMPP in Kano. If you take out, maybe APGA is an Anambra and a win-away party. But if you take a Kwankwaso out of NMPP in Kano,
nothing is left.
Nothing is left. So, if you take Oji out of Labour Party in Imo, I mean, which state is that, then Labour Party dies in that state. Look at our own local experience in Oyo State. We had a time when His Majesty Kabiyesi Rashidi Ladoja came up with the Accord
Party.
Yeah, and he's a man of means. He's a
that
man
political party instantly became a hit in Oyo
It
State.
instantly became a hit. But you see that the bigger parties were still able to close them out. Because at the end of the day, while he was strong on the ground here, he did not have that strength at the national level. So something gets missing. There will be a broken link in the chain. So usually everywhere you'll just always have, in America, is always the Republicans and the Democrats. There are the Green parties, that multitudes of other parties. In UK, it will always be the Labour and the Conservatives. Once in a while, the Lib Dems, the Liberal Democrats, they too do like they are there in the game, but it's always the two parties. So there will always be two champions. If a new coalition comes, what I just see is if they manage this coalition very well, then we may be singing non-dimmities for PDP.
Now, political godfatherism is something that has been around for a long time. But are we closing the gap in terms of godfatherism in Nigerian politics as we speak? Because now, even the kingmakers are now trying to become kings, and some of them are kings already.
Yes, I think what the mistake we have made in Nigerian politics, that godfatherism, we have taken it to a negative extent. And I think over time, it is still going to cause a lot of tension, and probably it is going to die off at a particular point. What we have with the political godfatherism that we get into is the fact that people want to sit in and be controlling the governor behind the scenes. You cannot put a person in power and turn him into a puppet. And that is what political godfathers try to do, which actually leads to all the kind of, possibly maybe what we're saying in River State. If you allow the person who has been elected by the people to run, you could clear programs right from the beginning, you could guide. So, but when a godfather is all about, I take all the decisions, you go and implement and go and announce, then it's going to be a charade. It's not going to be government. Yeah, and it's going to be tension. So, but sometimes, like the Italians say, the world is a wicked place, so God created fathers. But sometimes your father alone will not be able to do everything for you. You need a godfather. But the Italian essence of a godfather was to have someone who helps you, who guides you to success. But in the Nigerian context, the godfather takes you to success and is actually just killing you off. You know? So, godfatherism, we have to, over time, our democracy is a democracy in motion. Mm. So most of these things are going to actually find their form at a point down the line.
Now, let's talk about internal democracy in Nigerian political parties. Oftentimes, we have political parties slugging it out amongst themselves, especially in terms of positions, who becomes the chairman, who becomes the secretary of the political party. Just recently, before it was sorted at the recent NEC meeting, the PDP also had that issue with some clamoring for Ayahu to be returned, and of course, Damagun also having a say, the BOT saying one thing, the NEC saying something different. So it has always been an issue as regards who coordinates the political party. Sometimes we have, it used to be party leaders, party chairmen having a say about what happens in the political party. But now, immediately a governor emerges, he automatically becomes the leader. Is it because he has the funds?
Yeah, I think that was where we got it wrong. It started somewhere, I think, around 2001, 2, when the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo insisted that as the president of the country, he has to be the leader of the party. You see, politics is not designed to be like that. There is politics and there is administration. The governor or the president is supposed to be under the firm guidance and supervision of the political party. Why the internal democracy problems come is because we have combined both political power and administrative power in the same person. So he decides to change, he wants to change a party chairman the way he can change his commissioners or his special advisors or his drivers. It is not going to work. The party is supposed to be the point of discipline. The party is supposed to be the one that the governor or the president or the local government chairman is afraid of. When your party leader calls you, you know that you are going there for a serious meeting because he's either asking you to explain policies or asking you or giving you guides on what you're to do next. But when the party chairman becomes the party becomes a parastatal, then internal democracy will be thrown out of the window. And that is the problem we keep having now.
Now, let's talk about manifestos of political parties, candidates. Whose job is to provide the manifesto? Is it the political party or the candidate himself?
Well, ordinarily in politics, in what we learned in political science, and the ideal situation is that politics should be about ideology. That is why you know when the Republicans are in power, this is the party of the conservatives. When the Democrats get into power, this is the party of the masses. In Britain, the same thing. When Labour comes in, that is the workers' party. They are more people-friendly. When the conservatives come in, they are the more wealth-friendly. So, but in Nigeria, well, when you look at the background of this current democracy, the first three dominant parties we had were the PDP, the ANPP, and the Alliance for Democracy. And the late sage, Chief Bola Ige, of blessed memory, wrote all the manifestos of the three parties. So he was not going to write anything different because he wrote something that was just like a carryover from the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, and the Action Group. So the manifestos are just there just to make the parties look good. No candidate follows the manifestos
of the political party.
He comes in with his own idea. He comes in with his own idea and his agenda because the party is not running on any ideology. The only ideology is we want to win the next election. Simple.
Now, you were in the APC.
No, ADP.
ADP. You were in the ADP. You contested. You came fifth in Oyo State. Yeah. Now, how did you navigate the waters, especially with the expensive politics we play in Nigeria?
Well, like you said, the expensive politics. One, much of my answers to you now are born out of that experience, are born also out of the experience of my boss. What you see is that many Nigerians, like I have said, are not in politics for the sake of the masses or for the sake of... Many people are in it for themselves. But they also do not understand that, yes, there is always going to be a reward down the line, but it is down the line. You have to get into power first before you can get your rewards. So some people are like, I want to get my rewards today. And that is what is actually killing many of the small parties. Because many of the people who are in small parties are believing that, oh, if I can't force my way into a big party and get to the top, that in a small party, when I get there, the dough should be rolling, the candidates should be bringing the dough, and then everybody is smiling to the bank. But the more the people, the members of the party want you to be spending money on frivolities, the less you're able to run your organization, the less you're able to run your elections. So it was a tough thing, and I think the experience is going to make it a lot tougher for smaller parties to actually get big.
You were in the PDP?
Yes, I started my politics in the PDP.
You left the PDP?
I left the PDP.
You contested under ADP. Why did you leave?
Interestingly, I left the PDP in 2007. I joined the PDP in 2003. Well, because I was very involved with Baba Ladoja's politics. So I got to a point that I couldn't just do anything. I was too involved not to be a member of the party, so I joined the PDP. But after we left office, I decided I was going back to my banking career, so I left the PDP. I left politics entirely. But as happenstance, Olabi, in 2018, the state executives of the ADP came to me out of the blue and said, we want you to run as our governorship candidate in 2019. And I was like, where did that come from? Of course, we forced their way, but eventually we gave the candidacy to my late deputy boss, late Governor Adeba. I ceded that to him. But when I decided I was going to run in 2023, I just said, since this was the party that actually called me back into politics, then let that be the party I'll stay with and run it with.
Now, let's talk about the fact that in Nigerian politics, no permanent enemy, no permanent friends. Yeah. The sand is always shifting. Yeah. How do you tend to manage this in the political arena? So an opponent today becomes a friend tomorrow. Is it for the sake of the people or for the political ideologies or things you tend to do as a politician?
Okay, you see, let me first put it in this context. We are all humans. We all know each other. Everybody in your own family, in my own family, I have members of my family who are APC. I have members of my family who are PDP. I have friends who are in PDP. I have friends who are in APC. I know many of these chieftains one-on-one, from doing this, from doing that. So it's always not easy to decide that somebody is going to be your political rival or your political enemy, because you have a crisscross of relationships. That is on the first side. Number two, like you've said, the shifting sands of time. I always say life is so complex that it is difficult to identify people purely as friend or enemy, because your friend yesterday can be your enemy tomorrow. It depends on what interests you are both fighting for. So very often politicians, and it stems from international relations, that there will always not be a permanent enemy or a permanent friend, but a permanent interest. What do politicians want? You want to get to power. It now depends on what people want power for. Some people want power for regime change, some want it for societal change, some want it for personal aggrandizement, some want it for just ego boosting. So if Samson and I happen tomorrow to want to contest the governorship of Dominion TV, suddenly we will not be this friendly on set anymore. And I'll say, Samson is my opponent. So it happens like that.
And so yes, in the year 2023, we had a third force, the Labour Party. Yeah. They garnered so much vote. In fact, they won in Lagos State, which is the home state of the sitting president. Yeah. That aside, now we are in the year 2025. 2027 is around the corner. Politicians are already scheming for positions. Bayo Adelabu came out to say, no, look, I am contesting, but I don't expect APC to impose me. So many other people have always also said, look, I'm coming out, I want to be the governor of Oyo State. Likewise, at the federal level, where Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, they are all scheming for positions. And of course, all these people have come together under one political party, say, look, we want to kick the president out of the office. But my question to you now, with all this coming together, is ADC the third force that is coming on board in the year 2027, or people should still be expecting a crack on the walls of the ADC?
Yeah, like I said, what we have just seen is an event. So the ADC will have to end their stripes. They have to end their peeps.
Nobody saw Labour Party coming in the last election.
You see, Labour Party, remember the Labour Party has existed for a long time.
For a long time.
And it was in the doldrums. And I remember that I was at an occasion where Governor Adam Oshomole, or Senator Adam Oshomole as he is now, was was wondering why he didn't even contest under the Labour Party. And that was how much in the cooler the Labour Party was. The Labour Party didn't come up in the last elections. Peter Obi came up.
He joined the political party.
Yeah, if Peter Obi leaves the Labour Party today, I will tell you Peter Obi is likely to take away maybe 90% of the strength of that party, because it's the only attraction to...
They call them obedient.
They are the obedient. So ADC will definitely, they definitely have a lot of work to do, because like I said, like we have seen, there are a lot of strange bedfellows. There are a lot of strange bedfellows. They have to learn and understand how to sleep on the same bed together. If they do not, then they may not be a third force. And honestly, if things go the way it is going with the governors moving out of PDP to APC and some other people moving out to ADC, I don't think ADC, if they get their own work right, they might just be the opposition party because PDP will have been brought to its knees.
Okay, now, you said PDP would have been brought to its knees. Some of them are leaving already. They are joining a new political party. APC gaining momentum, gaining more members into the party. Now, that aside, let's go to Rivers State. Recently, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was able to broker peace between former Governor Nyesom Wike and, of course, his protege, Siminalayi Fubara. It looks like they are now on the same page. Whether they like it or not, I think the president has been able to bring the dispute between the two to a standstill. As of now, most likely, Fubara will be returned to office as the governor of Rivers State. But some people are angry. He's loyalist. I mean, Fubara. They are saying he betrayed them, that he's a sellout. That if I thought he was going to secure any form of agreement with the president, especially in the area of single term, he should have carried them along. But now, looks like his own house in Rivers State is also, in disarray.
You see, the spectators are always the better players on the pitch. It's easier for you to sit in the spectator stands and be saying, oh, why didn't Samson score that goal? Didn't you notice that he could?
But they are seeing clearly.
They think they are seeing clearly. Much of the time, what we see is the outcome. We do not see the process. The underbellies of many of these things are bigger than that outcome. What will happen if Fubara does not make peace? Then he doesn't even go back to office at all. The president and the National Assembly can decide to keep extending that emergency until the end of his tenure. So, like I always say, you must always be ready to cut your nose to spite your face. And I think that is what Fubara has done. He has realized that he has a weak hand at this moment. Does he go to zero or try to salvage something? And that is what he's doing. He's salvaging something. So the supporters that are complaining now do not really understand that Siminalayi is doing it for them. Because otherwise, they will not have anything to come back to. And they will have to go back to whoever Nyesom Wike puts there and be begging for accommodation, which they are not likely to get. So sometimes we let emotions take too much centrality in decisions. And most times the art is not very smart. So I think Siminalayi is playing a survival game, and I think it doesn't have a choice. Otherwise, it will lose totally. There's
a statement that Kola Ologbondiyan made today, saying if Nyesom Wike is sitting on the fence in the PDP, he's in the APC, he has an appointment with the APC, but of course, he's still in the PDP. And he has a say. He has a huge stake in the PDP. So he says if Wike can do that, they can also be in the ADC and still be a member of the PDP.
Yes, now. You see, unfortunately, I don't know what the PDP was thinking to have let Governor Wike have this
so much power,
so much free ride. But you could always hazard a guess that he is one of the big party funders. So if he's, you put your money where your mouth is. So if they want to chase him out of the party, then they are chasing out a big slice of the cake that is running the party. I guess maybe that is what is happening. But it's always a dangerous trend. It's always a dangerous trend because even the Governor Wike is a lone battle force in that party, and nobody can call him to order. So if Ologbondiyan is now saying that we too can do the same, but I don't think Ologbondiyan may get away with it the way Wike has gotten away with it, because it is not just about Wike saying he has done it. I think the almighty Naira might be at work.
Is it time to call Wike's bluff?
I don't think BDP has any bluff left to call. They've allowed it to go on for too long. I think what PDP should be doing now is battle against disintegration.
They should be battling against disintegration.
Yeah.
You see them that they are already disintegrating.
Yeah. The PDP we have today is far weaker, not even probably. PDP as it is today is far weaker than it was in January this year.
All right, let's talk about politics in Oyo State.
Yeah.
2027 is around the corner. And of course, we know so many people who are interested and they are jostling for the position of governor, knowing fully well that Governor Seyi Makinde has just 2 years left and is not coming back. He's most likely going to anoint a candidate. And that means that some other candidates also stand a chance of winning. As it stands, what do you think of the political landscape in Oyo State as we speak?
The political landscape in Oyo State is an offshoot of the national political landscape. We don't even know what is going to happen to the parties. So there are going to be a lot of alignments and realignments. I will expect a prudent governor to always want to have a say in who is going to succeed him. So Governor Seyi Makinde will not be out of place to want to anoint a successor. But it depends on which other parties are coming up. Will Governor Seyi Makinde remain in PDP if the PDP is weaker? That's a scenario we have to look at. If the ADC gets stronger, who would ADC field? That means that there is another force that people can gravitate to. APC already has a packed field of people who have shown interest in that. So it is too early to make any call. It is interesting. I will foresee a situation, especially that we know that the governor is not coming back. He has exhausted his constitutional limit, that there are going to be a lot of actors on the field. So there's going to be a long sieving process over the next 1 year, maybe 15 months when the primaries are done. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
An extra of Governor Seyi Makinde's administration as we speak.
Well, that's a topic I always want to avoid because it's always easy to say the grass is greener on the other side. And two administrations will not have the same priorities. He has chosen his priorities based on the facts and figures available to him. Somebody else will go in there tomorrow and say, oh, these are not my priorities. And so he's running the state. The only thing I always tell us politicians is once state funds have been committed to a project, anybody that comes in, you have to complete that project or else you are even guiltier of wasting public funds than the person who initiated the project. You can decide to scale projects down, you can decide to change the usage of certain things, but you cannot abandon them. So, but by and large, Governor Seyi Makinde has changed a lot of things in the political landscape of Oyo State. Look at the last elections. That was the first time in a very long time that we were devoid of political thuggery. And you could attribute that to the kind of government, to the kind of administration that was in power. He has also tried to end the issue of godfatherism in Oyo State. By and large, that is neither here nor there. There are complaints from the political sector, there are complaints here and there from the business sector. Nobody can get it right perfectly. But we pray that in the last 2 years of his administration, I would rather assess him when he's gone, when his time is done, because the rain is still falling. You don't know how much water is going to drop on you. So since his time is not over, we should just wish him the best of luck that he's able to get everything done and leave Oyo State a far better place than he met it.
Have you seen his posters in town?
Yeah, many of these posters.
Seyi Makinde for president.
You see,
is it safe to call it a wild goose chase?
Well, you see, the governor himself has not come out to say that he wants to run for presidency. Sometimes people, we politicians, we want to think into the minds of our leaders and do. I've done something similar before. So you could actually just want to think into the mind of your leader and say, let me just run these posters and wake his interest up. It might be some people that are just trying to stir his attention towards that. But he has a right to contest the presidency of Nigeria if he believes he can muster the level of support to do it. So why not? If he wants to do it, we wish him the best of luck. And if he decides that he doesn't want to do it, we still wish him the best of luck.
Some people say Oyonkpio, Nigerian Pio, is a potential trap. Do you believe in that?
You see, it will always happen. It will always happen.
Have you seen Oyonkpio in town?
Yes, I've seen it.
You have seen Seyi Makinde for president in town?
I've seen it. You see, it happens. Like, I can come in tomorrow and say, why shouldn't Samson just be the next governor for your state? He's young, he's suave, he's intelligent. And I say, Samson, go and run. Because people who are close to different people, to different personalities, believe that this person has the quality to be this or that. And in very many cases, like I told one of our big political gladiators in Oyo State some years back, the people who are close to you want you to attain the peak of your career. Because if Samson becomes the president of Nigeria, I can always say, Samson is my friend. I can go to the villa and say, Samson, remember now, I was always on Poliscope. Make me your special advisor on politics, which I may not be able to ask anybody else. So people will always do. Sometimes you just need to, as a leader, you need to be very circumspect and very philosophical and possibly spiritual about these things. Is this what I want to do? Is this what I should be doing? Is this what I should spend my energy and time on? So I think I always pray for the people at the top. You need more than, you need a lot of discerning spirit to be able to know what to do at any point in time.
Now, let me ask you this question before we go. What do you see about political office holders when they're about to leave? They are always wanting to anoint someone who eventually is likely going to be a stooge, someone they can control remotely.
There are two ways to it, the positive and the negative. The positive way is you probably started a process, because many of these things, to develop a country, to develop a political entity takes time. Maybe like I say, you need like 15, 20 years of consistent good governance to be able to achieve certain things in running a country or a state or a local government well. So on the positive side, if you have started a process of good governance, then you want the person who is coming after you to be able to continue with that process. Otherwise, a joker comes and takes everybody back another 25 years. The negative side, so that is the positive side. The negative side is, maybe I've done a lot of untoward things. Maybe the office holder has done a lot of untoward things while he's in office. He will be afraid of the next person coming. He wants to be sure that this person is not going to rock the boat. So it depends on what the mindset of the person sitting in the office is. Is it for the progress of society or for the furtherance of his personal interest?
Okay, now, talking about politics in Oyo State, as we speak, Ibadan has been governor so many times. The Okeoguns are clamoring to be governor. And when you look at it, the Barapas too are tired. And the question is, Talokon. You mentioned the other time, Emilokon, and the president got it. Is it time for other areas in Oyo State to also say, look, our local, Ogbonsho has been governor, for a late former governor, Adebayo Akala was governor. Ibadan has been governor. Seyi Makinde is from Ibadan. Former governor, now Oba, Oba Rashidi Adewale Ladoja, was governor. He's from Ibadan. What happens to Okeogun? Don't they have qualified candidates to run for governor in Oyo State? How about Ibarapa?
In fact, Oyo State is a very, very blessed state. We have very eminent citizens of the state in various sectors of the economy, both within and outside Nigeria. Why Ibadan? I would say we are lucky in Ibadan. I'm from Ibadan anyway. So we are lucky in Ibadan because God blessed us with the population strength. And that is why Ibadan will always continue to dominate. Ibadan has over 55, almost 60% of the votes in the state. The areas that come next, Okeogun and Ogomosho, have less than 20% each. So no other part of the state can be governor of your state without the consent of Ibadan. So until we have an amicable transition process where Ibadan willingly decides to
cede power
to
other
cede
part
power,
of the state,
or power cession becomes a constitutional matter that there must be rotational governorship, it will be difficult to not to put in place a governor that is not from Ibadan. Like you said, Governor Akala got it, but he had the tacit support of a large chunk of Ibadan, people like the late Chief Lamide Adedibu, the late Chief Arishekola Alao. So Ibadan supported it. Look at a state like Ondo State. The capital of the state, Akure, has not produced the governor of the state because it's the smallest part of the state. So all the other governors keep coming from other parts of the state, but not the people of the state capital.
from Owo,
They are coming from Owo, from Ilaje, but not from Akure, because Akure is very small. And most of the people in Akure are actually civil servants coming from other places who go back home to vote in their hometowns and villages. So while Ibadan is enjoying the positive advantages of being the capital and having the largest population, a city like Akure is suffering the disadvantage of not being able to control the government.
Okay, now it is our time is fast spent on the show, and we simply have to go. But lastly, before we go, what's the solution to the ever reoccurrence of political shift in Nigeria, especially when it comes to inter-party politics, intra-party politics?
Yeah, what we need in Nigeria is we need to rewrite our constitution. The constitution as it is, the 1999 constitution, was not ideally set up, was not ideally promulgated, was not ideally codified. So we need a real people's constitution, not something done by the National Assembly. It has to be done by an independent group of people who will take all manners of interest and opinions into context, so that the people, so that we can have, until we review that constitution and put in place another constitution, we will just continue to swim around the sharks and hope that maybe one day somebody somewhere will do the right thing.
All right. Thank you for joining us in the studio this wonderful evening. It has been an honor having you in the studio of Dominion Dominion Television, your channel of choice. We do hope that next time we call you, you'll be here to actually do justice to some interesting topics that we have for you.
Thank you very much. It has been my pleasure being with you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, as the cracks widen in the walls of Nigeria's dominant parties and the calls for alternative voices grow louder, one question remains: can political pluralism survive the might of entrenched interest? Well, we thank our guest this evening, Dr. Hakeem Adebola Yusuf, for lending us with both wisdom and courage to ask the hard questions. Remember, democracy only works when we scratch beyond the surface, and that's what we do here on Dominion Television. Follow us across all social media platforms at Dominion Broadcast. You can do that, subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch us live on our website at Dominion Broadcast. Until next time, that we'll be meeting again on this show, Wednesday next week, 6 p.m. I am Samson Balogun. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay political. Good night from Ibadan.